All right, cheers and welcome everyone to Happy Hour with the Lincoln. We're now on episode number 46, where week by week I'll do my best to answer all of your stock market related questions over a glass of me favorite whiskeys. Just like we're two old chums from high school sitting next to each other. We're going to talk this stuff through, man. We're going to talk this stuff through and we're going to get better for it. Now, if you guys have questions you'd like to send my way that I can feature on some of these upcoming episodes, support@thelincolnlist.com is my email. Just send it over. And if I don't put the question on one of these upcoming episodes, I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as possible. Also, don't forget, if you want to take your trading business to the next level, you're trying to align yourself with a community of successful traders, trade with us live each day right here in our trade room. I got some good stuff I'm throwing at you. I know I say that every week, but I promise you, you're going to like what we have to talk about because it's the core and the foundation of why we started this happy hour. And that was not to just talk about hot setups, but to deal with the most important element, which is your psychological being. This is what trading has always been about. You, yourself, being the worst enemy, you yourself, self-sabotaging yourself. Sounded kind of weird, but that's what it's all about. We are our own hurdle. We have to clear ourselves. We have to have our mind right to be successful. So we're going to kind of talk about that today. A few topics that you guys have sent this way I think is great for everyone. So let's kind of jump right into it now and deal with question number one. Help! I don't like it when they're like that. With 3 exclamation points. Anyway, I am struggling so bad with emotions. One minute I'm on top of the world, the next minute I feel like a dipshit. I cannot seem to put together a drama-free day, and while I'm getting tossed around, it seems like everyone else on the internet is just sitting back collecting cash. I have a system, I study hard, I want to be successful, but I can't see my way out of this roller coaster. Any advice would be appreciated. Okay, now the first thing I want to address about this is this thing we call self-talk. There was this article I had read a while back, and if I knew where it was, I would find it. Maybe if you Google self-talk, you'll find it. But one of the questions in there, one of the topics were, the person said, if you had a friend or a friend of yours spoke to you the way you speak to yourself, what would you think of that person? And would they be your friend? And I mean, it makes perfect sense because we are our worst critics. Just like before I actually went into this question, I said that we are our own worst enemies. And the mind is a funny thing. It's like if you sit there and you're going to call yourselves names. I know we're all going to do it. We all have issues with this. But you got to be very careful about calling your names. Calling yourself stupid, calling yourself an idiot, calling yourself a dipshit. This stuff works on you psychological, and you are what you think. I mean, if you think you're a loser and you keep telling yourself you're a loser, if you keep telling you that you can't succeed because you don't have a college education or it's because where you came from and you're constantly self-degrading you're never going to be successful. I mean, plain and simple, because it will always be planted in your subconscious mind. And every time that you begin to have any sort of turmoil in life, that's going to be your go-to excuse. You're going to say, well, that's because I never graduated college. Well, that's because I was born in a little small town. Oh, that's because everybody told me I was going to be a loser. So to step one on this, it's very important that all of you guys out there be kind to yourself. Not be kind to everyone else out there. First and foremost is you and being kind to yourself. Now, I know it's a cliche answer, but you have to try to do the best to find every piece of silver lining and be positive. And I know, trust me, man, it is hard when you put in the hours of work and you really press for a goal and you get disappointed. I mean, it's hard not to take shots at yourself. It's hard not to feel stupid and worthless. I get it, man. I totally understand it. But you have to do whatever you have to do to try to remain positive and look at the silver lining. So let's just kind of deal with this in a trading perspective. If you feel like a dipshit, that means you're not doing what you think you're capable of in trading. Rather than insulting yourselves, try to figure out what the solution is. Try to look at your problem. Like let's say you're losing on a trade, and that's what caused all of this. You had a big loss or you're a series of losses or whatever it may be. Take a look at those and try to see not how screwed up you are. Because you could basically say every loss is, that was dumb, I shouldn't have done that. Well, we don't know that when we get into it. Look at what you've done right, you know? So like when I take a loss, it's like, obviously I'm upset. Nobody likes to lose. Let's face it. Even if it's checkers, we don't even want to lose that. Nobody likes to do that. But when I take a losing trade, I look at it and I say, if that trade idea was presented 10 times to you, would you take it all 10 times? Is that your setup? Is that what you're in trading for? Is that a legit setup that follows your trading plan? And if the answer is yes, you can't fault yourself. Now, where you fault yourself, obviously, if it's a revenge trade or you made a mistake, you fat-fingered, you feel like you're not comprehending. But every trade that you take, try to look at the good. Even if it was a loser, like let's say I fat-fingered a trade or I took a revenge trade. I lost my composure. If I caught that early and it was just a minor loss, then I can go, well, you know, that was stupid, but I at least understood that it was stupid and I corrected the mistake as quickly as I can. Now I can move on. So step one of this one here is to address the issue that your self-talk is one of the most important things that you'll have. You must be positive and you must be kind to yourself and you must respect yourself and look at what you are doing good. Otherwise, man, you are never, ever going to make it at anything. The other part of this is please don't believe that bullshit on social media because all everybody's doing is only telling you about their winners. They're not going to sit out there and call the world, they're not going to announce to the world, hey, I'm a dipshit, I just lost 8 G's and show you a screenshot. They're only going to talk about the good stuff. And when you have this whole huge social media, maybe you follow hundreds of people and it just seems like I made money on this, I made money on this, I'm making money and you're a loser. That's what it feels like. Look, I get it, but trust me. Most of that is garbage. There ain't anybody out there that's bagging 10, 15K within 30 minutes of every morning, 5 days a week, sitting back there throwing up bills. I've been in the trading business for damn near 19 years. I've met thousands of traders. I will swear to you, strike me upon the death from the heavens, that does not freaking exist. So please don't buy into that. Now, if you are suffering from a roller coaster, up and down emotions here, I don't know really where to help you unless you come forth a little bit more with what's going on. But I would try to answer that this way for those that are listening. If you have drama in your trading, you're doing something wrong. You're either trading too heavy, you say you have a process and a plan, but you're not following your process and a plan, or perhaps you don't believe in that process and a plan. Now, saying you have a process is one thing, but until it's tested into a market environment and you believe in that process, then you're always going to have doubt. There's no doubts when you have a process you believe in that's been back tested. So for example, I can go on a losing streak of 5 or 6 trades, but I'm so confident in my process that I know over time I'm going to do just fine with what I have in front of me. I just have to stay the course, stay disciplined, and so on. So if you're suffering from that roller coaster that either comes from too much position size, not enough education, and the lack of belief in that system itself, and it hasn't been back tested enough. So you're going to have to deal with that. So the first thing I would recommend for everybody is, I've always said like a broken record, take that size, scoot it down to where you can at least eliminate that one, because we all have control. We can't control whether we win or lose on a trade, but we can control how much risk we take and how much position size we use. So get that down to a good level to where you're comfortable. Let the trade work a little bit more, and then go from there and try to figure out why you're getting emotional. Now, that was a bit-winded answer. I hope I kind of did that, but please, if you take anything away from this, guys, be kind to yourself. Be positive. You have to be, because you'll never be successful at anything if you think you are a failure, because if you think that, we will end up believing that, and then it's all downhill from there. So let's move on to question number 2. All right, question number 2, Q&A earnings. Hey, Doug, thanks for all of your videos. I appreciate your consistent advice. In a recent video, you mentioned trading through earnings as a mistake. To clarify, did you mean to even think about trading a stock that has received earnings, or to use earnings as a catalyst that a stock is going to go up in price once the market opens? All right, let me try to answer it this way. It is okay to trade a stock prior to earnings, the day of. Let's say it's going to report after hours. It's okay to trade that stock during the day. In fact, most cases, that's a pretty good trade to the long side, because investors are naturally optimistic. So you'll see often that stocks will run up, or at least remain stable going into earnings. Now, if the stock has run up quite a bit before the earnings, like several weeks, then it may be a different story. It actually may sell off a little bit prior to earnings. It's okay to do that. It's also okay after the earnings announcement the following day, if you find a logical setup there that's part of your business plan, like we talked earlier. It's okay to trade it then. However, I would highly recommend that you do not trade through the earnings announcement. What I meant is that you hold it through the earnings. And the reason why is because it takes away what actually makes us professional traders, and that is our edge. So when you're trading a stock based on the setup, which I keep going over and over again, this is something I've also talked about on one of the previous whiteboards. The setup itself is what gives you, the trader, the edge. This is what takes trading away from being gambling. So if I just got up every day and I guessed and threw darts, that's gambling, right? Because I don't have an edge. If I have a setup, I know, look, I've seen this pattern 500 times and it's worked 400 of them. So I have some sort of data. That takes it away from being gambling, a 50-50 coin toss, to maybe a 70-30, 80-20 in my favor. I think you understand what I'm saying. Now, when you go through earnings, you lose that because we all know these companies, like NVIDIA is a good example of that, just recently had earnings. It ran up a lot. It knocked the cover off the ball. Great earnings, but the stock sells off. Well, of course the stock is going to sell off initially because you've run up $30 or $40 into earnings. It's going to be hard for you to stack on top of that. And it's not just up to the earnings that you beat. It's also about guidance. It's about profit margins. There's so many things that are involved, but mainly you don't control that. So oftentimes companies will report good earnings and they'll just get tanked. Other times they'll miss earnings completely and the stock will go up. Again, you don't know. It's a complete coin toss. And the problem is you get caught. Sometimes it's difficult for you to get out after hours because of the spread and the lack of liquidity. So I'd highly recommend that you don't do that as a trader. Now, if you're an investor, you're long-term, you're reinvesting your divvies and all that kind of stuff, it's 401ks, not such a big deal. But if you're going to be a trader, you have to wait for the announcement and then trade accordingly. But don't just blindly hold that through. It's too much of a risk. That's what I meant with it. Now let's just scoot over to question number 3, which is question number 3, trader health. Doug, love these videos. I had an off-topic type of question. I wanted to ask, I noticed that many of the traders out there, those with rooms in parentheses, appear to live an overly active lifestyle. My buddy and I were arguing about whether or not a trader needs to be in good physical condition. He says no because you just sit in a chair and anyone can do that. I think it can't hurt, but I don't really have a better argument than that. You seem to be in decent shape. What do you think? Well, thank you, my friend. I'm feeling pretty good about your compliment. Nice words. Okay, let's answer this seriously. Your friend, let's talk about your friend. Well, he's right. That's all we do. We sit in a chair, we punch a mouse or hit the hotkeys. I mean, really, it doesn't burn any calories hardly at all. And you're right. You don't have to be in good shape. Anyone can sit in a chair. Anyone can push these buttons. No, you don't need it. However, being physically fit and just living an active lifestyle is a stimulant for the mind. So let me try to explain it to you this way. We all know somebody that has a severe, messy problem. And what I mean by messy problem is like their car is a mess. Now, I'm not talking about you got some papers on the floor, you've been busy working in a week, you threw some stuff in the back, you're a little bit unorganized. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the person that's got a bunch of crap all over their dashboard. You know, 3 weeks old coffee just laying on, just junk piled up where you have to scoop stuff off to sit in the seat. I mean, we all know somebody that's kind of like that, that lives a very messy lifestyle. And their house is also a very messy place. You got books, piles. There's no organization anywhere. It's not just lack of organization or a little bit of laziness. It's extraordinary laziness. Just messes everywhere. Now, I'm not stereotyping or saying that they're bad people and horrible for the earth. Please don't think that. But what I'm saying is, if you live a messy lifestyle, right? Your car's a mess. The trunk is a mess. Your house is a mess. You know, how can you expect that if you start a business, it won't be a mess? How can you expect to have structure and discipline in business and you don't have that in your personal life, you know? And it's not just being messy. Sometimes people just can't keep relationships. They have no discipline. They have no structure. They're out of shape themselves. And that's just an overall, the point I'm trying to make is an overall lack of discipline. So being in shape is a disciplinary choice. It's a choice to you to say, no, I'm not going to have that candy bar or that cookie. Yes, I don't want to go to the gym, but I'm going to go to the gym because I need to be disciplined. I need to have structure. Yes, I'm going to live an organized lifestyle. Yes, I'm going to go to bed early so I can have, more energy as the week goes on. That's what physical fitness does for you. It enhances your life overall. And it will help you in business. Just, and I mean, you don't have to be Mr. Olympia with washboard abs, but just being active, being structured, being disciplined is what's going to translate from your personal life to your business life. So please understand, if you have a sloppy, messed up, unorganized personal life, nothing against you as a human. You can donate your money to charity and you can be a great person and wonderful, but it's going to be hard for you to take that and then all of a sudden become a shrewd, hardcore, cutting-edge business person. And I think you understand it. Also, physical fitness is something everybody should do to a certain point because that's the most important thing that we have. The most important thing that we have is the health of our body. I mean, I would rather be flat broke and in good physical condition than a multi-billionaire and sick. I mean, you guys know what it feels like just to have like a common cold or a flu. I mean, life feels like it's over. It's just hard to function, and life is just terrible when you're sick. So you should always put your health as the #1 priority. And again, you do that, and that discipline will translate into other areas of your life, and it'll just naturally radiate vibes that'll make life good for you. So no, you don't need to be in physically good condition to trade. Man, just being in shape, just being active, just living life to the fullest. You don't even have to go overboard, but just living life to the fullest, maximizing your time. Those are going to be the great things that's going to translate to great results in the future for you. So that's going to end it today for us in our happy hours. We did some good stuff. I got a little bit winded on the emotional question, but hey, that's my topic. That's my go-to thing I like to talk about. We talked about physical fitness. I think this was a great happy hour. Don't forget, you guys got questions you'd like to send my way. You know what the email is. Until the next happy hour, I appreciate you watching. Thanks and take care.